Hi there. Let's chat a little bit about employee disengagement. Leaders often wonder what actually causes employees to become disengaged from a job they likely were very excited about when they started. By the end of this video, I'm going to share 3 causes of employee frustration and share some really practical advice on how you can bring your employees back to the joy and fulfillment in their roles that they had in the beginning. My name is Tara-Leigh Gerlitz, and I'm with Next Level, a boutique consulting firm that helps executive leadership teams remove the invisible barriers holding them back from their most important strategic goals. So Gallup reports that employee engagement has decreased by over 5% in the last 3 years. This past year alone, in 2023, they've recorded that only 31% of employees were engaged in their work. I find it disheartening to think that 69% of people are not satisfied, fulfilled, joyful, or fully committed in their work. As a leader myself, I get it and I understand. I'm sure we could all remember those difficult early days of the pandemic. As a business owner, I still experienced how difficult it was to stay engaged with my work. The lack of personal connection and the barriers that were impacting our ability to work with others really caused me to feel isolated and disconnected. Even though our business climate has changed a lot in the last 4 years, far too many employees are struggling with a lack of motivation. So there's 3 fundamental principles from Patrick Lencioni and the Table Group that I use in my practice and with my clients to navigate these challenges. I'm excited to share these drivers of work satisfaction with you over the next few moments. People deserve to be fulfilled in their work. If we're looking for the cause of employee disengagement, we're not going to find it in salary, vacation, or benefit packages. And unfortunately, employees can't achieve a really high level of engagement on their own. Leaders like you play the most crucial role in an employee's ability to feel connected to their work. There's 3 key factors that I would love to share with you that influence an employee's ability to be happy in their work. The first one is anonymity, second one is irrelevance, and third one is measurement. So I'm going to explain what each of these mean in a moment. But if leaders were to pay attention to these simple and straightforward 3 disciplines, they'd be amazed at the reaction and the impact that they would have on their employees in feeling more valued, feeling more relevant, and feeling like they're in control of their success. So the first cause of employee disengagement is anonymity. That word is a mouthful. Employees want to be known by their team, by their leaders, by their organization. They want others to know who they are as people. Employees who feel invisible or generic or anonymous aren't going to love their work. After sharing about this discipline, I had an executive that instituted what they called a connection before content at the beginning of every leadership team meeting. It was just a quick 5 minutes, and it created a consistent opportunity for everybody to connect and learn about each other. She was shocked that they loved it, and they began this practice with their own teams in their team meetings. As people got to know each other better, they got to trust each other, got deeper relationships, productivity increased, and, of course, engagement increased. This brings me to our second cause of employee disengagement, irrelevance. Employees want to be relevant, and they want to know that their job matters to someone, to anyone, to your customers, to their coworkers, or even to you as their manager. In order to find lasting fulfillment in their work, they need to see a connection between what they do every day and the satisfaction of other people. Unfortunately, it's really easy for employees to forget why their work matters. And as a leader, it's your role to make sure that they know. We all make false assumptions as leaders about what people know and understand. We don't want to be a bother, we don't want to waste their time, and we certainly don't want to be repetitive. The challenge with this is we often don't say the things that need to be said, and we don't say them often enough. One of my favorite examples of extinguishing irrelevance in a team is a client I worked with where they did an employee engagement survey, and it indicated a culture of artificial harmony. So they were too afraid to say what really needed to be said to each other for fear of upsetting their coworkers. Their engagement scores increased after they learned about this and they practiced some peer feedback and they became more comfortable having the important conversations. And as they learned to share with others about their value, they started to feel more connected to the work that they were doing. So this leads me to our final cause of employee disengagement, a word made up by Patrick Lencioni himself, measurement. Employees need to be able to measure their progress and self-assess their success or failure at the end of every day. Team members should have a sense of ownership and control over their work and not have to wait for a performance review from a manager to know how they're doing. For some jobs, it's more evident. Servers get tips, sales teams have quotas, and even athletes have statistics. But for most jobs, this automatic feedback isn't available, and the responsibility falls on you as their leader to really produce something, to work with them and produce something that's simple, tangible, and meaningful. So I'm borrowing this story from a colleague because I feel like it's such a great example. In working with a manager at a fast food joint, they wanted to identify a metric for their drive-through staff. Initially, they considered time, so how fast was their food actually delivered. However, most of that was actually out of the control of the drive-through staff themselves. So instead, they chose to focus their role on making customers happier, and they used the metric of the number of smiles from customers in order to gauge their daily success. To wrap up, I'd like to highlight the most outstanding leader I've worked with. Upon meeting Ali, I was immediately drawn to his genuine care and concern for people. He doesn't just know the names of his team members, but he knows details about their family, their background, and what's most important to them. He lets his employees know how important their jobs are to the mission of the organization. He acknowledges when they work long, hard hours on projects and quantifies the impact that they have. Nothing he does is overly extraordinary, but the engagement of those he leads is notable. This work is more important now than ever before. Employees are stressed and burned out. They feel disconnected and unappreciated, and we're facing a mental health crisis. Removing anonymity, irrelevance, and a measurement from your teams will go a long way to improving overall engagement. I'd love to hear which of the three you are going to take action on first. Are you going to get to know your employees better? Are you going to make sure that they know that their work matters? Or are you going to help them come up with a metric to assess their daily success? Impact is driven by action, so please share your first step in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss upcoming content. We're going to talk about how to motivate overwhelmed employees and the impacts of employee disengagement on your teams and your organization. Finally, please connect with me directly if you want to chat about how we might be able to help you and your leadership team achieve your most important strategic priorities in 2024. Bye for now.